Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to day 12 of our 19 days of COVID-19 live video series. And the topic today is being separated from our loved ones and coping with not being able to care for or be there for those people that we love. So have you been feeling a bit sad, frustrated, lost without spending time with friends and family? A bit disconnected from everyone, maybe also a bit stressed and anxious about how maybe elderly parents or other family members are doing without you being able to be there to support them and help them in a way that you normally would. I know this has been coming up a lot in the discussions in some of the groups that I'm in, and I gather that this is a concern. So what I have found is that when we start to look at it from a different perspective, the difficult feelings around this situation can fall away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, anyway, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest, and that tends to be the key for this. There was a time, probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I had to make a decision and tell my parents that we were too much of a risk to be around them. So various members, older members of my family have health conditions that if they were to get this virus, it could be quite dangerous for them. And so I rang both sets of my parents, because my parents are remarried, and basically said to them, I don't want to see you until this is over because our family is a high-risk family. I have kids that are still working outside the home, and at the time that I was having this conversation, schools were still open, and the schools that my kids go to are very multinational schools, so the possibility of there being family with family members coming from overseas was very high at the time. And it just didn't make sense to risk their health. So I said to them, you know, we can't see you. They were actually relieved that I rang and said it first, because they had come to the same decision themselves, but they weren't quite sure how they would tell me that they didn't want to see us. So they were actually relieved that I said it first, alhamdulillah. So today I want to share with you some different ways of looking at this so that inshallah, perhaps you can at least have some peace in your mind and your heart around these family members and really embrace what we can of the situation that we find ourselves in. So the first perspective I want us to look at is the fact that whatever is happening is the qadr of Allah. It's already been written. It was, as I said in yesterday's session, 50,000 years before the creation was even the creation were even created, subhanAllah, that we would have this situation. And whatever it is that's going on, you know, across the globe, you know, it's really profound and overwhelming when we can really think too much about it. But at the other side of it, you know, this is part of what we're meant to be experiencing right now. These things aren't happening to us or for us, they're just happening. And our responsibility as believers in this dunya life is to show up in the best way that's pleasing to Allah in this situation. And so it's the qadr of Allah that you are also separated from people that you love. It's part of how this was meant to unfold. So it takes a big relief off our shoulders, I think. The feelings of guilt that some people might be experiencing can get lifted off your shoulders when you realize, well, actually, this was how it was meant to unfold. It's not my fault that I can't be there for them. And this sense of accepting, if you're just accepting the qadr of Allah, that this is how it's meant to be for now. Just breathe in that release of guilt or any kind of thinking that you had around I should be there for them, because the reality is you can't at this moment. The other thing that really helps is remembering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't burden us with more than we can bear. And that doesn't just mean for us, it means for them too. So they're okay. They have Allah, and Allah is the protector, provider for everybody, not just us. So when we think about Allah doesn't burden the soul beyond that it can bear, rather than just thinking about that in terms of our own selves, think about that in terms of the people that we can't see either. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there for them too, available to them too. So he's not going to burden them with more than they can bear either. If you were meant to be there, if you were meant to be able to spend time together, then that would be how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote it to be. And that's what you would be experiencing. Now, on one hand, in some families, and there's no judgment on any particular family, I'm just saying in some families, we love each other, we love to be there for each other, but there's some people in the family that we can take in small doses. So maybe there's actually some blessing that there are some people that you're not stuck in isolation with, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned it this way that you can't see them just at this moment, because perhaps there would be more damage done to the relationship if you were stuck together in isolation and unable to move. So sometimes we focus in on one element of the situation and get so stuck and upset about that we don't take that step back and see that actually there's Allah's wisdom behind all of this. And we may not understand it. We may not understand the details of it. We may get little bits of it here and there if we're lucky. But just accepting the fact that Allah's wisdom is behind everything is another way in which we can feel the relief of those difficult feelings, falling away. So the other thing to remember is this isn't the first time this has happened. There's been global plagues many times, and a lot of those stories have started to surface. And one of the things that we have now that they didn't have in any other times is we've got FaceTime. Like, you're seeing my face right now, and I could be in a completely different country to you. We have technology now where we can get the grandchildren on the video with the grandparents so that they can talk to each other, so that we can see that they are actually okay, because we can see them on the screen, inshallah. If we have family members who are not technically savvy, then I guess that is a challenge, but there are still ways. There's still the telephone. And I'm sure that most grandparents know how to use a telephone. And so you can still have that voice connection. Honestly, I mean, I try my best to call my parents, but it never feels like there's anything to tell them anymore, because nothing much is happening, right? We're all stuck at home. There's not really much news to share. So it's a case of just ringing up so that they can hear your voice and hear that you're okay. You can hear their voice, hear that they're okay, and do that for the sake of Allah, and to get that relief that everybody's okay. Alhamdulillah. The other thing to remember is this too will pass. Like every other challenge, it will pass. With difficulty comes ease. We're told that with difficulty comes ease. This too will pass. This is just a temporary patch of time. This life itself is temporary, right? This life itself is a test and temporary. This test that we're in right now will pass, like all the other tests have passed. How it passes, what it looks like afterwards, none of us really know. But it will pass. We will not be burdened with more than we can bear. Everything is going to happen according to the qadr of Allah. And that's how it works. So if you notice everything that I've said, it's all back to Allah and how Allah fits into this picture, and how Allah is the provider, He's the protector, and what He's told us, that in the remembrance of Allah, hearts find rest, that He will not burden us with more than we can bear, that everything is happening according to His qadr, and that after, with difficulty comes ease. In the remembrance of Allah, the hearts find rest. So if you are feeling those feelings about your being disconnected from loved ones, you've got other people that you can't see right now in person, think creatively, because there are ways in which we can stay connected with people. We can do things for them if we need to. There will be creative solutions. But if you're stressed, worried, distressed, sad, anxious, you're not going to be able to think creatively and see those solutions. And it's just going to then create more stress because you feel frustrated that there's nothing you can do. There's plenty we can do, even if it's just dua. And never, ever, ever underestimate the power of dua. So if this has been helpful, beneficial, inspiring for you, please share the khair. We have the opportunity to really boost the morale of our ummah with these messages, and you could earn the reward of somebody else feeling better from having listened to this message simply by sharing it with them without reducing anybody else's reward in the process. So nothing to lose. If you found this was helpful, please share it. Share the link, 19 days, cov19.com, or share the YouTube video and let others watch it, inshallah. See you tomorrow, inshallah, with day 13. We have, 13? 7? Maybe 7 more sessions to go? Yes, it would be. We finish next Friday. So it's Friday for me here in Australia. We finish next Friday, inshallah. So another week to go, and still some more gems to come, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.